Alright, geezers, another fantastic episode of, this shit. I'll be honest, I really didn't want to have to do another video on this situation, these troublemakers. But it's been a hot moment since I've posted, and I get a little bit paranoid that if I don't upload consistently enough, some sort of final destination shit is going to happen. So I thought I'd do another video. And yes, I know I'm about 48 hours late to this one. I know your favourite shit shovelers have beaten me to it. Yeah, I know the sensitive societies and all of these other parasites have already done their videos. I know. But I thought I'd do one more. Why not? If I can't be the beginning of the sentence, I guess I'll be the full stop period. So, KSI and Logan Paul, the two of the axis of children's entertainment. I suppose KSI would what? Be Mussolini? I could see that, yeah. Same sort of smug, bloviating, blowhard persona. Yeah, same sort of pouty baby face. Yeah, I can see that. Logan Paul, obviously, the Adolf Hitler of this website, this wretched fucking website, dantesinferno.com, that is YouTube. I think, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I am so misunderstood. When I did that video and I filmed the dead man, it was so misunderstood. He laughs about it now. That's the terrible thing. Logan Paul finds it funny these days. They've responded to... this whole situation is fucking ridiculous. I hope you realise that. A children's entertainer has responded to a children's entertainer's response to a children's entertainer. This Daniel Minecraft paedophile. I can't say that. I'll get sued. It wouldn't surprise me though, yeah? It's like Ouroboros, YouTube centipede. One children's entertainer's mouth stitched to the arsehole of another. Oh! Oh, it hurts. So, KSI, being the father of a bastard he is, he did his video, and I'll be honest, I maybe got through 2.5 minutes of it. I watched it on Reddit. Fuck off, am I giving that man ad revenue? Not that I would, because I use adblock, obviously. Who doesn't use adblock? Fucking hell. See, we're in Europe. We're sort of exempt from all of this draconian YouTube lockdown shit. They've gone really hardcore in America. No. You will watch the ads. You will watch 45 minutes worth of ads. We don't get that here. I've had no issues with adblock, so touch wood. Let's hope it fucking keeps it that way. But KSI responded, this Oliver Tungy fellow, and I couldn't sit through it. He laughs at everything he says. And listen, please do comment below. I don't want to be insensitive. I don't want to pick on, someone who's disabled. I don't fucking play that game. So if he does have some sort of, brain problem, I'm truly sorry. But what the fuck is up with him? Why is he laughing at everything he says? Every other word he says, he's full on fucking cackling at. And most of it isn't even a joke. Most of it is just matter-of-fact statements. Now, listen, I'm a self-proclaimed narcissist. I don't just buy my own hype. I fucking invest in it. I don't find myself that funny. I'm not full on just in tears over statements I'm making. So, I don't want to pick on a disabled, but is he recovering from a stroke? Has he been recently concussed? Why is he laughing like that? It's a little bit unsettling, frankly. But his response was the sort of thing you'd expect. You've probably seen it by now. I don't need to give you the details, dear viewer. You don't come here for the details. But that was his response. And frankly, I'll be completely honest with you. You know how it is. The last honest man on the internet. I haven't seen Logan Paul's response, but the thumbnail made me laugh. Because he genuinely looks in pain. You know. He looks really, really fucking pained. Mr. Beast, once again, nowhere to be seen. I suppose he's what? The Hideki Tojo of this situation? Yeah, no one talks about Hideki Tojo. Why is that? I'm thinking of doing sort of like an underrated fascism series. Yeah, where we shine a spotlight on the lesser known fascists. Everyone knows Oswald Mosley. Let's shine a light on Pinochet. Yeah, not enough people are talking about Pinochet, and frankly, I think it's a shame. I think it's really unfortunate. Is he fucking with you? You'll have to watch tomorrow's episode to find out. This is another Terrific Slop video. KSI's response was vapid, to say the least. In the part of the video I saw, he just strikes me as an incredibly insecure individual. You know, and his own fucking viewer base of 14-year-old dipshits has turned on him. You've angered the 14-year-olds, KSI. Yeah, KSI. I believe that stands for what? Knowledge, strength, and integrity, I believe. Yeah. After this, I think he should rebrand to LIQ. Because he's not making very smart, calculated, Machiavellian moves, let's be honest. And I respect a narcissist who's a bit more, you know, polished. A little more reptilian in their execution. Like me. Yeah, I'm so fucking far ahead, I can tell you, dear viewer. It's like Mario Kart. I'm so far ahead of you, I can just stop. I can stop driving and I'd still win. What was the point of this video? Yes, I was going to go on this great tangent. I had this great tangent and I forgot what it was. KSI, in this video, he made this point, right? He made this point in the video where he said something along the lines of, I do all of these business ventures. I do all of these different side hustles because people say I can't. And that's a really childlike, naive mentality to have. You know, if enough people told this geezer he couldn't survive a fall from a great height, he would start skydiving off of bridges without a parachute tomorrow. And it's not a mentality you want to be having. Because ultimately, the people he's trying to prove wrong don't care. They will never approve of you. They never have and they never will. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how many albums reach #1 on the UK album charts. They don't care. They do not care. You will always be a YouTuber in their eyes. And unfortunately, and the same applies to Logan, the absolute maverick, the low gangster he is. Same applies to Mr. Beast even, who's the most successful of them by far. They are all known widely as YouTubers. And I don't see that changing. Frankly, I really don't see that narrative shifting anywhere. Because they're not doing these side businesses with any real passion. I don't think anyone with a straight face could tell me KSI's love, his craft is in vodka. Because I only learnt that today. He makes vodka. Did you know that? KSI, let's be honest, he probably just slaps his name and brand on a distiller, right? It's like Prime. Logan and KSI had nothing to do with the creation of Prime. It's like Elon Musk with PayPal or Tesla. They were brought in to essentially slap their faces on the marketing. That's what they are. They wouldn't let you believe that, but that's the truth. But all of these, all of these side hustles are just that. They're side hustles. None of them appear to come from a real place. Everything KSI does feels vapid and shallow. And compare that to the monumental success of Joji, right? He has become a mainstream artist in his own right. I forget, I'll have to check. Something like 30 million monthly Spotify listeners, last I heard. And there is an entire demographic. 20.5. That's still fucking, you know what I mean? That's still massive. 20.5 million monthly Spotify listeners. And I don't think he's had an album in ages. He hasn't had an album in years. So those are big numbers. And he used to be Filthy Frank. I know him as the Filthy Frank A-Boss guy. But there's now an entire demographic of people that only know him as Joji. He has carved out a name for himself. Stomach's rumbling. I'm a little bit hungry. I will eat after your slop has been churned. Compare that to KSI. Let's just compare that to KSI and his monthly Spotify listeners, because he's still releasing music. He's released music as recently as this year, I believe. KSI Spotify, 2 million, right? And when you have an audience of what? 30 million? 30 million subscribers? Millions and millions and millions of young fans. Hitting number 2 in the UK album chart. He didn't even hit number 1. Fucking hell, he didn't even hit number 1. You need to sell about 5 albums these days to get number 1 in the UK album chart. He couldn't even do that. With an audience of millions and millions and millions of young fans. 2 million? Isn't that impressive, frankly? And the same goes for all of his ventures. They all feel incredibly shallow because they're not coming from a real place. I don't feel any of this music or any of his little business ventures, whether it be Prime or this Lunchly thing or Sides or any of this shit, it doesn't appear to be coming from a real place. It appears to be coming from that mentality of proving to the world he can do it. But the world doesn't care. That's what he needs to realise. The world doesn't give a shit. And he has the money and the platform and the influence to do whatever the fuck he wants. And I think he's wasting it trying to prove something. So in this response video, he came across as incredibly insecure. And I think he is. I think he's desperate to prove something to a world that doesn't care. And that's quite a pathos, isn't it? He's desperate to escape this shadow of being a YouTuber. A fate very few have accomplished. Most people, they stay here. They stay in this pit. This absolute sulphur pit to burn and be punished for all eternity. I don't see KSI or Logan or any of these people escaping, frankly. I don't see them breaking the mould, getting out. Because Joji You know, he retired the Filthy Frank thing, not just for health reasons, but also because his heart wasn't in it. And his heart was in the music. And that passion paid off because, again, 20.5 monthly Spotify listeners. And he hasn't released an album in almost, 3 years? Compare that to KSI, who's released music this year, has over 30 million fans around the world, apparently, can't even hit 2 million. It's like 1.9. Because his music's vapid. It's consumables. That's my issue. Everything he does is to be consumed and then you move on. There's no shelf life. There's no love. There's no passion. You know, KSI isn't sitting in his big fuck off mansion at a grand piano thinking, yes, today I will compose Lamborghini in my Lamborghini. He's not. This is music to be consumed and then you move on to the next consumable. You know, that's what so much of this shit is. And you compare that. Again, Joji's the prime example because he did break out of the mould of being a YouTuber. There are now people who only know Joji Miller as Joji. They don't know what Filthy Frank is. And of course there's overlap. Of course there's people who loved him as Papa Franco. I used to love Filthy Frank when I was about 14. But he changed, he evolved, he grew. This is the key thing. Joji grew. And to an extent, he grew with his viewer base. KSI did not. He is, you know, I watched him casually when I was 14. He's now being casually watched by the next generation of 14-year-olds. He hasn't moved on. He hasn't evolved. He hasn't grown as a person. Just like Logan or Paul. Logan or Paul. Which one do you want? Logan or Paul? You can't have both. Just like the Hideki Tojo of YouTube. Mr. Beast, Mr. Cease and Deceased. All of these fucking people. They don't grow. They don't evolve. And thus they wither and wilt and fade away on Dante's 7th Circle of Hell.com. YouTube.com. Because, you know, he does. This KSI fella, he strikes me as someone who's recently had a head injury, for one. I don't know why he's laughing. It's not funny. And as an incredibly insecure individual, for two. He's desperate to prove something to anyone that will listen. And I feel pity there. And I shouldn't feel pity for someone who has as much money as he does. But I do. I feel pity for him. Anyway, this is another terrific video. I've whittled on. I feel I could have been a lot more articulate on that point. But that was more or less the gist of it. KSI makes a sort of music that is adjacent to dire Nickelback fodder for 2005 car commercials. You know, it's the same kind of brand. It exists in the same space of music. Elevator music, library music. You know, it's music that for an end. It's not for any soul-fulfilling purpose. He doesn't have something he has to get out that can only be expressed in music. No, he's selling a product. And I have no doubt. I mean, number 2 on the UK album chart, frankly, a little bit embarrassing that you have this massive audience and you can't even go to number 1. You only need to sell about 12 copies these days. But still, number 2 is an achievement. I couldn't get to number 2 on the album chart, so what do I fucking know? But realistically, it's all very shallow. I don't think his passion is in Prime. I don't think his passion is in vodka or restauranteering. You know, my father was a Michelin star chef. His passion, when it wasn't, you know, conning people and being part of the South London mob, his passion was, cuisine. Still is, to the best of my knowledge. KSI does these things to prove a point to people who don't care about the point he's trying to make. The people you're trying to court for the approval of, to prove wrong the people that naysay. They will always be naysayers. It doesn't matter if you sell 50 copies of your fucking album. It doesn't matter if you sell 50 million, because they just don't like you. And you have to accept that. I got a great comment on my Drud the Completionist video. I woke up to just an absolute doozy. It was something like, hang on, maybe I can get it up, because this made me smile. I did enjoy this. Hang on, where is it? It still gets about 100 views a day. I don't know why. Hang on. 22 hours ago. Dear God, this guy is almost as scumbag as an adjective, I presume. This guy is almost as scumbag as the completionist. So I'm going to have to give that a heart. I think that's brilliant. People don't like you. You have to accept that. And instead of trying to prove a point, why don't you just do what you want? Why don't you just do something you're passionate about? Because I don't think he's passionate about any of this shit. I don't get a real feeling of passion from anything this guy does. And it's all through the lens of being a YouTuber. He does boxing, but it's YouTube boxing. He does music, but it's YouTube music, yeah? Not to be confused with YouTuber who becomes a musician, like, the previously mentioned Joji. No. This is something quite more sinister. This is YouTuber music, yeah? God, no, please, no more. No more. I don't think he gets truly fucking starry-eyed the way I get starry-eyed about art. I'll see, the work of Japanese visual artist Taro Okamoto, and I'll get excited about it. I won't be able to sleep because of it. It will just excite me. It will just, I get excited now thinking about it, because that's passion. I'm passionate about visual art. This geezer doesn't seem passionate about anything. He's not passionate about Lunchley's. No, it's another cynical attempt to make money from children. And God bless you. I've got nothing but love for that. Well done. Rob those kids. I've said it in 3 videos now. Rob the children. Well done, KSI, Logan Paul and Hideki Tojo. Well done. I'm not here to morally grandstand and wag my fucking finger. I just think it's unfortunate because there doesn't seem to be any passion in anything any of these men do. And they have the platform to do anything. And it seems quite shallow, really. But hey, that's capitalism. You either play or you starve. And if you're going to play, you might as well aim for the highest score. So, well done, I guess. Fucking hell, how long have I done? 24 minutes. What a load of shit. If I didn't need a video, I wouldn't post this. You should know. You should know I would not post this. But that's just, the psychology. Because you tell KSI, it is a childlike psychology. You tell him he can't do something, and it'll be the only thing he wants to do. But in reality, I don't feel his heart is in any of this shit. I don't. Meanwhile, if I woke up tomorrow to 1 million people, saying, oh, I bet Earth Apologist couldn't slam his dick in a door, you know what I'd say? Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. And you know what? I'm not going to try. Because I'm smart. Yeah? I'm smarter than you. Anyway, your favourite person on the whole wide web is going to fuck off now. Internet protagonist. Yeah. The last honest man on the internet. I'm going to fuck off because I'm bored of me. And if I'm bored of me, well, you know the rest. I love you. God bless yourself. I'm sorry you had to hear it from me. Like, comment, subtract, smear these videos over the walls of the internet. Let's get to 200.